Hi there, Tarot people. Marcus Vasey here with a card of the day, and look what we have. I haven't seen this card for a while. The Eight of Cups reversed. Check this out. So here there is a figure walking off into the distance, maybe climbing the hills and turning his back on the Eight Cups in the foreground with the moon in the background. Okay, the symbology here. And this card can represent different things for different people. I just give you my version of the whole story. So it's kind of a card of retreat, of turning your back on those cups that are out there in the world and going within. So this is inner journey that this card talks about. It's a turning yourself inwards and introspection and reflection and taking your mind inwards to see what all that superficial stuff is all about and what's going on inside of ourselves. And so this is part of the message of this card. So when this card is reversed, there's a little bit of fear maybe, and of doubt and denial. Denial maybe that we should be going inside, maybe the introspection is worthwhile. There's maybe a fear of what we might see inside of ourselves, about going within. There might be a fear of turning our back on the outside world, where we might be quite attached to what's going on our outside in the world around us, especially the emotional attachment, so to family and friends. And so those cups may well represent our relationships that we have with people, and we're afraid to leave that. We're afraid to leave that support and go within and see if we can't find our own support. So there's a bit of a fear here to turn our back on something and move on. There's a little bit of an attachment story here. There's an abandonment story here. There's a walking away energy. So this energy, it could be like a parent that walked away when we were a kid, or we got abandoned by a partner, by a family member in some shape or form. And this creates a trauma inside of us that we don't want to repeat or face or feel in any way. And so we kind of might avoid that. And this might be this kind of inability to go within, because we have this, it reminds us of this external abandonment story, or this fear to drop something on the outside world that may well not be serving us at all, but that's such a strong fear of abandonment that we want to cling to it and hold on to it. And so there's this resistance to go inside and actually see what the story is. So this is definitely part of what this card is all about. It can also be that, our turning inward story is too addictive, and we're just going in, or we're maybe addicted to retreat in the form of, that it can sometimes be an escapism story, that we're like, just trying to run away from the world because it's a little bit more comfortable with me being on my own. So it can represent this duality of, I'm not comfortable with myself in the world, so I'm going to run away from it, or it could be that I'm just not comfortable alone, so I'm going to stay attached to it. So in a way, these two energetics hold the same dynamic of a fear of change. And there's definitely a fear of change. I was looking at this card and I was seeing how I can relate to it, and it's like, it dawned on me that it was very, very much connected. It made me realize something quite big, actually, that very much connected to my life and my path. And I was just looking back yesterday at a bunch of stories that I had about attachment, and I was looking at my childhood, and I had asthma, and I still have a bit of this asthma, which it stops me from breathing in and really taking deep breaths and absorbing the world from the outside, and sharing myself and my love and my ideas and everything. And I realized that when I was a kid, that I was quite sensitive, and I kind of, like most kids, just sponges, and we're all kind of very attentive to the vibrations of the people around us, and so we learn and we suck up their energy a lot. And I think I maybe was a little bit more sensitive than most kids, or I didn't close down as quickly enough. And so I kind of bought into a lot of ideas that were around me from my brother, my mother, and other people, and I didn't feel that they were mine. I didn't feel it was safe. There was a part of me that wanted to close down and didn't want to absorb all that energy. And I realized, I was naturally sucking it in, so I kind of had to retreat. I I was like, oh, I'd run away and go in my room and just be on my own and sulk, because it seemed safer that than to be confrontational in an environment with my family, or to to pick up more of those vibes that I really wasn't, able to deal with, or didn't have great boundaries for, and didn't understand how to work with. And so this became a kind of avoidance story, and a protection story at the same time, because the way I protected myself was to retreat, to go away, and to avoid, and to close down a little bit, and to try and put these kind of barriers, and to say no to a lot of stories that were coming in from the outside. And this is part of me not being able to ask for help, and this is part of me not being able to receive, because it wasn't safe to receive at one time in my life. And so, and I've gone through different phases of my life as well, but I've spent like many years resisting going within as well. I'm very good at it, and it always has great positive effects on me when I do it, but I'm still find myself resisting it, and it doesn't seem to compute until just yesterday. Actually, I realized, oh my gosh, I resist going within, and I've spent years resisting going within because I'm afraid of losing this protection mechanism that I once needed as a kid, to put a barrier on the outside, to actually block off the energy that I wasn't able to deal with, or didn't understand fully enough in order to be able to cope with it in a very mature way, because I wasn't mature. Now, hopefully, I'm mature. I've got a little few more boundaries in place. I can say yes and no to energy that I do and I don't want, even though this is still a continuous story of learning for me. But there's a big realization that, there's a part of me that didn't want to go within because I was afraid to let go of those old protection mechanisms that don't serve me anymore, and probably haven't served me for a long time, but I'm still holding on to because of this. And I'm afraid of the change that going within will provoke, because even though it's going to be a positive change, and it always has been, right, I was still afraid of it because there's this little boy inside that's not too sure, that's really not really convinced that, he shouldn't just block off the world, and not want to embrace and accept and gifts from other people or things from other people, because that can come, with a double side to it, and it can be painful, and it can just affect you in the wrong way, and it can take away my will and my needs, and I can forget who I am. I can lose myself and give more importance to the outside world, etc., etc., etc. So that's a little bit about the reverse 8 of Cups. I'm sure you can relate in one way or another. Please comment down below if you can, and click and subscribe, and like and love, and share some of your juicy stuff if you want to. Love to you all. Have a fantastic day.